doesn't go on, you got to pull this back a little bit. Pull it back, and then it'll pop on. Then you hammer that down. Before you put the turf tank on, hook it up to the truck first.
Hi, I'm Eric. I'll be your instructor for the day. When we go to paint, mixing paint, the gray paint in the gray buckets is a 50-50 mix. That's for the Graco liners. The white paint here is for the robot. I'm going to show you how we mix that. We mix that completely differently. It goes through the robot, which is low pressure. We can't use the thicker paint, which is why we have two different paints. The thing you do with the robot paint is you check the buckets to see how much paint we already have mixed. So these two are empty. This one has some paint in it. This one has some paint in it. So usually, and it all has to be remixed.
So it always has to be mixed.
It always has to be mixed because the robot paint settles. And we have to screen it, which I'll show you in a minute, because dried paint inside the bucket can get into the paint. It'll clog the robot. So you have to measure out the robot paint, 1 gallon. We're gonna mix it with water. I'll show you that in a minute. You always wanna make sure the 1 gallon line is inside the bucket as well, because when you're using more buckets of paint, the paint will hide the lines on the outside. So this is very helpful to have lines for 1 gallon on the inside as well.
Gotcha. And those are those black marks there.
And that's the black mark. So usually you want to take a wrench, any kind of wrench, or pliers, as I was just told. You want to pull this off.
Yep.
You're not going to be able to do it by hand.
Yep.
It is very tight. Obviously, you throw that away. Well, that's the man who told me about the pliers. We don't need that anymore. Pull this up, open it up. It's a tough one. These are very hard because they get shipped in a cargo truck, so they don't want them to get lost. As you see inside the paint, after the paint sits for a while, you can see how it's separated. So before you mix it and then put it in the bucket for the paint you need, you want to mix this up. Don't go too fast because it's going to get all over you, I promise. And you want to make sure that the mixer is on the bottom. It's got to be on the bottom because this paint sticks to the bottom. Again, it's very expensive.
Here's where I'll put the grants about 2 hours later.
When you pull the mixer out, you want to put it on a lid or something so you don't lose the paint and it's harder to clean. So right now, we are going to mix 1 gallon only. As I stated earlier, you're just pouring to the line. Once it gets to the line, I'm gonna put a little more in. You're good. This is 2.5 gallons. Today I only need 5 gallons of this. 2.5 gallons makes 12.5 gallons of paint. 1 gallon, so you have 1 gallon, you would do 1 gallon, then you have a half gallon, which will make 2.5 gallons.
Okay, so 1 gallon of paint equals 2.5.
No, 1 gallon equals 5 gallons.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm going to show you now.
Get a copy.
So this is 1 gallon of paint.
Wow. All right, that's good.
We're going to put
Concentrated paint.
It is a lot easier, so you don't get paint all over you, actually, to take the nozzle off, especially when you're doing a lot of buckets. Today we're only doing 1 bucket. There is no line for the 5 gallons. We know it's a 5 gallon bucket, so we go to about right here on the bucket.
Copy.
We always need to keep these buckets with the lines for measuring clean and only for paint. For robot paint, not for dirt, not for anything. And they need to be cleaned immediately so paint doesn't dry. Right now, it's the only way we have to measure. Again, we have another 1.5 gallons in here in the original paint can if we needed it.
So that would make 7.5 gallons.
So this one would make 7.5 more gallons.
I did it.
Which right now we don't need. When we're done putting the paint in,
I turned it off, Eric.
we're good. You put the nozzle back on, make sure it's tight, drop it down. Oops. Once again, you're going to need your mixer. And because this is full, you do want to go slowly. But it has to, the water has to mix with the paint. But if you don't go slowly, this is going to be all over your feet, all over the ground, and we've wasted extremely expensive paint. We do not want to do that. Once you're done mixing the paint, you want to grab the hose and you want to clean the mixer off. You can do it in the rocks if you want. I probably should have, but everything's in the way. You want to get as much of the concentrate off. And then to keep our driveway clean and the best that we can, you want to make sure that you water it down quickly, do the best you can to hose it off. The concentrated paint that has been used, or that's left over, quite often I will bring it into the garage. Make sure the top of the bucket is somewhat dry. I usually leave Sharpies up here. And I'll write robot. Even though it's in a white bucket, we should all know that. Paint, concentrate.
Handwriting looks like my dad's.
My handwriting is like a 4-year-old. This way, we never have an issue not knowing what paint is what, because we used to have that. I will put it back in front of the robot paint. Now there's no problems. Robot paint is low pressure, coming out of a low pressure pump. So we have to screen all the paint. Screen is kept here in a simple green solution when we're not using it. Let the simple green flow out. There is a screen on the bottom, which we also need more of. Bring it over here.
Interesting.
We do want to hose out the simple green, hose out this way to make sure that that screen is clear. Let it drain or turn it over, however you want to do it. This bucket is empty. This is a 5.5 gallon bucket. We're putting 5 gallons in it. Pretty simple. But again, we're screening it. This is where at time, no, you'll get it all over if I overflow. This is the time where you have to go slow. I have gotten it all over, probably will do it now. Especially in the beginning, because the bucket is very light. Then you have to go slow because there's nothing in the bucket. Once the bucket starts getting heavy, you can go a little faster. Once you screen the first one, you want to check. As you can see, the screen is clogged. So you come over here. Same thing as the simple green. Blow it out. Turn it upside down to get any of the particles out. Just like that. We're clear now. And because I don't need this bucket anymore, right now, I'm simply going to hose it out. Dump it. Quite often when I start screening, or when I'm about to clean this rather, I only put like a quart of water in there. I shake it up to get any residual paint that's in here, and I'll screen that as well to save some paint. It will thin the paint out, but we're fine. I did not do it right now. Sorry about that.
You'd almost rather have it thinner than thicker.
Huh?
You'd almost rather have it thinner than thicker if you had a choice.
You want it thinner and thicker. This paint lasts. We're nice and clean for the most part. There's no particles. Quite often we are using 2 of these. Now, turn it upside down to dry. This one is ready. We'll close the top. We'll put it over here, and my lovely friend Joe will maybe put it up there. Thank you, Joe. Unfortunately, even though these have already been mixed, if we're lining flag, you need 3 buckets. Sometimes I will bring 4 just in case. When you're lining our property, if you're using just robot paint, you need all 5 buckets with paint. It takes a little while. but you're saving time by doing it now. So right now, I need to get an empty bucket, and I'm gonna simply do with each one of these, I'm going to screen each one to make sure that I have at least 3.5 buckets for flag. If you were doing for here, you would want 5 buckets. You've already seen the screening process. If it gets clogged while there's paint in there.
So before you fill these up, you want to take everything that's out of there, screen them, then fill them up with the
Well,
paint.
we're gonna just put it in here, the empty bucket, make 5 gallons, and then that bucket will be empty. We'll take the next one, put it in the empty bucket.
Got it. Yep.
If the screen gets clogged while you're mixing and it's not going through, come over here. This is the turf tank cabinet. It's only for turf tank products, which I'll show you some more of that stuff later. But you'll grab one of these, which we have a couple in there, literally put it in and just try to clear out the clog. Once it's clogged, cleared, and it's empty, you then hose it out for the next batch.
Gently.
Gently.
You don't want to do it
Gently,
too
you
hard.
don't want to smash it in and smash the screen in. Right now, we're going to do the next ones. You've already seen the screening process. Before, and I should have shown you this, you empty these, you should shake them up to make sure that the paint inside is mixed. However, if you did not do that, there's always some paint in here that's thick enough that you can just do a quick spray, nothing crazy, to get the residual that's on the bottom, shake it up. Thinning out the paint a bit is more than fine. I do expect it to be clogged. Actually, it's not. But
There you
now you can see all that residual. We will clean that before we get to the next one. When you're done with the screen or the funnel, you make sure it's cleaned out, drop it right back in the simple green, make sure it gets full, or basically full through the screen, so then it can be cleaned. When we're doing the robot and we're taking it somewhere, which is what I'm doing now, or even if we're doing it here and we're cleaning later, you have a bucket always, make sure of simple green and a bucket of water, especially when we're going to flag, so we can clean the machine out. So right now,
Okay, at the place.
we're gonna take the simple green bucket, the water bucket, 3 paint buckets we're gonna put on here. Make sure that, we try to keep them clean from overspray or whatever, which when we're rushing, it always happens. But, I mean, it's a utility trailer, so who cares? Put that on there. I'm leaving 1 bucket out on purpose because in a moment we're gonna pull the robot out. We're gonna put that bucket right in the robot. So as soon as we get like to flag or here, we're ready to line.
Copy.
If we were lining at Berwick, right now you would put the bucket in the robot anyway. Same type of. Hey guys, I'm back. There's a lot of processes that I'm about to show you. I'm gonna try to go slow enough but fast enough at the same time. First thing we wanna do when our paint is mixed and we have everything loaded on the trailer, we wanna come into the garage, whatever order you do this, you do this. And please, can you put the camera where you can just look up? You do not want to see what I'm doing. It's done. We go into the office. We get the tablet for the robot. It's a Samsung tablet. It's what controls the robot. We then want to come over here. These are the batteries for the robot. Right now, number 1 is silver facing out. That means it's charging. These 2 turf tanks facing out, which means these are ready to go and they're charged.
Okay.
Once you go to charge a battery, if you have to charge a battery, every time you switch batteries, you want to make sure you unplug the charger. We have 2 chargers. If you don't unplug it, it's got a memory, so it'll think that the last charged battery is what you're charging now. So you always have to unplug it to reset it, then you'll put it back in when you pull these out, you have to be very careful. This one I had to rebuild. It's got electrical tape. It's very strong. The new one they've already reinforced. However, I am still concerned at some point it'll go. Be very careful. So we know these two are charged. So I always want to have an extra battery with me, just in case you run out of power, if you're going somewhere. These are the base station batteries, which we'll go over. We have two, and they're a pole battery. We're gonna grab one of those as well. Grab our tablet, come over here.
One is all you definitely need for the pole station batteries.
All you need is one, they last forever.
Copy.
Next thing you're going to do, go to the robot. Hopefully it's clean, which it is not. You're gonna put it in to the cavity that's here. Turf tank label always facing up. Slowly, and then speedy to put it into lock.
Okay.
Once you're done that, and I'll show you later, when you close it down, you turn the main breaker off. So you need to turn the main breaker back on, which is here. Then you turn the robot on. Right now, the robot is setting itself. It's trying to figure out what it can connect to. You then, middle button turns the tablet on. The only app here is the Turf Tank app. Literally touch it. Turf Tank app is going to figure out where it is and start trying to connect to the robot. That's the tablet right there. Right now, it asks for choose which Wi-Fi. You are waiting for the Wi-Fi on the robot to show up. It's scanning and it's looking for the robot right now. Oops, sorry. Oops. Third button, or first button, is what you use to close everything out. Again, we're going to go back. There's quite often you will have to close the Turf Tank app out and then turn it back on if it loses connection. So once again, right now it's connecting to the robot. As you can see, it says connecting. Idle. Once you see joystick, you know that the robot's ready and you're connected. So right now, we're going to hit joystick. We're going to pull the robot back.
All right, so this is the front.
Yes, that is the front of the, I'm trying to get both for you. So you would be backing out. Once you get clear of the garage, you're going to spin it around and then just pull it up closer to the trailer. Once you get to the trailer, put the tablet down in a safe place. I've already broken it once. Don't break it, please. You're going to open up the lid again where the battery was. Pull out the paint stick, which should have been cleaned last time. You're going to bring the paint over while it's closed, because you will spill it. You want to take the top, this is a little trick, and put it near the battery. It's going to keep the bucket tilted. You're going to get more paint usage because the paint is going to be closer to the stick.
Gotcha.
Slowly, because you will get it all over. Lift it up. See, I'm getting it all over. Then you're going to take the paint stick, put the paint stick in the robot, close it down, close the lid,
Just push it down.
and just push it down.
Okay.
I got paint on me. You're always going to get paint on you. So I'm going to hose it off. In the meantime, when you're done that, go back to the tablet, which is still connected, and you're literally going to ride. You may have to help it. Unfortunately, it's not super strong. Thank you, Joe. I'm going to pull it in. Generally, I spin it. My hands are wet, so right now you can just Yeah, pull it to the side, that's fine. We're done with the robot for now. You're gonna take the tablet, turn it off, put it in a safe place. It's gonna come with us. If you were doing Berwick Field right now, you would literally drive to the field, click the field that you're painting, tell it to start painting. Because we're going to flag, we don't need the tablet anymore. However, before all that's done,
At this moment, we don't need this tablet at this moment.
before all that's done, you need the tripod, which we always keep here. You're also going to need this box. Before, I don't open this box before I get to Berwick or Duffy right now, Duffy Fields, because we don't need anything. But just so you know what's in this box is an antenna, the base station, and cables that will connect to the battery. We'll show you that once we get to flag football. If we were doing it here, we would take it out to the only spot that we can put it on. I'll explain that momentarily as well. So right now, we get ready. We're gonna need that.
And tripod. And battery.
Battery. Usually, I put this in the bed of the truck or in my vehicle. All this stuff we need. Before you go, I always take extra parts for nozzles. There's something called a bullet, a silver bullet, which is behind the nozzle, just in case, because we're 3 miles away, we do not want to have to come back here.
Yep.
I also take a brush, about the same one that we use for the stuck paint, just in case it gets clogged. Again, we don't want to have to come back here.
Better to have everything and not need it than
I
need
also
something and
make
not
sure
have it.
that I take a blade, just in case I've needed it in the past. So right now, we're going to load everything up. Make sure you bring everything. We'll see you at Duffy. Okay, we're at Duffy Fields for flag. We're getting set up. The first thing you want to do is take the pole battery and put it into the base station, which I will explain more about momentarily. You want to take the antenna for the base station and screw that in as well. And then the very first thing the next thing that I do rather, is I take the plug that goes into, look for the red dot, and line that up with the machine, push it in. I do not plug the battery in yet.
Safe battery.
Because it will immediately try to find the satellite.
Gotcha.
Next thing we do is we take the tower, and at each facility, Berwick, Duffy for flag, Duffy for lacrosse, we have a pinpoint or a stake in the ground that is set to the satellite. The base station has to go to that same exact spot every single time. If it doesn't, it's going to line elsewhere. It doesn't know where it is. It becomes a challenge. So I brought a screwdriver, which I didn't tell you earlier. And we have a cover, cap, 4-inch cap here, and at lacrosse. We have a screw cap in Berwick. To take this off. You want to clear this out, get stirred is what it is. Put this off to the side.
It's got to be precise.
It is precise, and if not, it doesn't work.
That's wild.
So you want to stick out the legs a little bit. You are going to want to put the stakes from the legs into the ground. Next, you want to put the middle pole into the stake, because that's where it's set to speak to the satellite. And you're going to want to tighten it. The next thing you want to do is, if you can see this bubble has to be perfectly level.
Okay, so that's nice. That's a nice. You push the buttons. That's cool.
And then,
I like that.
The way you do it is the buttons get pushed,
Yeah, it's cool.
and then the bubble goes into the center. We're good right now. We're going to double check it in a moment. As long as it's inside the circle, you're okay. Take the base station and the pole battery.
That's interesting.
You're going to screw it onto the pole.
It's pretty wild. It's got to even be level. It's interesting.
Well, it has to, if it's not level, it doesn't, the satellite reads it differently, and it will start lining a few inches over, or a few feet over.
Wow. Damn.
Because the base station is set GPS-wise to this point.
Mhm.
If you move it, it thinks it's on this point, it will line screwy.
Yep.
This base station talks to the satellite. Then this base station also talks to the robot and tells the robot where to go. Once you're here, you want to double check your level. I always, you just want to make sure you're in the dot.
Yep.
First thing, this is very important that it's in the same spot every time, which is why we have stakes in the ground.
Yep.
Now you can plug in the battery. Once you plug in the battery, the base station is setting itself. You really don't have to turn the battery on. It turns the battery on all by itself. You have to wait a second. It's showing batteries because it takes batteries on the side, but we use a pull battery, which is much stronger. The next thing you do, never hit this button. This button is to set the point. All the points are set right now. Turn, hold it for about 5 seconds until everything lights up. Where you hear that, you can let go. Now you're going to want to wait, and you will see, and please video this, you will see all the lights going on, you'll see different things happening. Right now, it knows the point that it's at. It's trying to talk to the satellite, which is that green satellite, to make sure it's in the same place. It's telling you that the two little batteries are not in there. Again, we have the pull battery, so it doesn't matter. It's going to beep, I think 5 times when it hits the satellite. You know that it's connected to the satellite when that blue light is blinking. Then raise this. It has to be raised. Technically, if you were going further than flag, you would raise the next pole higher. That's why you need to make sure that you are staked into the ground well. It has blown over. We don't want it to blow over. Right now, that is satellite connected, and it's ready to talk to the robot. Okay, we are now at Berwick, as you know.
Duffy.
Or Duffy. I cannot see. I apologize. We are at Duffy. We've already set the base station that we've shown.
Yeah, I can't see shit.
I cannot see. So we're going to swipe. We are going to reconnect. We never turn the robot off, which is fine for this drive. The battery is strong enough. We've reconnected that fast. Right now, we're going to hit the joystick. We're going to back up the robot. We're going to turn her around. Now, we have 6 flag football fields here. Right now, it's a lot easier, and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Just start over there.
I'm going to literally drive to the very first field.
Okay.
So it is faster to drive it to the field than telling it to start. So I'd rather drive it to the field to save time. All right, folks.
Yep.
So we are at the beginning of flag. Right now, it thinks that the robot is at Berwick Fields. These are all of our soccer fields, all of our different fields. So we're going to click this little 3 lines. We're going to click Find Robot. Cellular service right here is going to go try to find the robot. That green, clear selection. That green dot is me, showing me where I am with the tablet. So to start lining that field, and let me show you this if you can see.
Oh, yep. Okay.
These are the 6 fields. One of them is offset because of the forest here. If you ever have to line, this is our practice soccer fields. And if you ever have to line lacrosse, lacrosse is over here, which is that way.
Gotcha.
So, but we are doing flag. We want to start. Literally, you just click the field.
Okay.
You click start. You want to check the speed and make sure it's on the fastest speed.
Okay.
Turn that off. We are on the fastest speed. And you're going to click start painting. Stand back. It's 15 minutes and 21 seconds. It tells you how long.
For this
For
field.
this field, which will be each field.
Oh boy. could mow. Just want to point out we had to put a new battery in there. It did take a minute for this thing to start blinking. Be patient. It'll beep. It'll wait. It'll beep again. And then it'll blink, and which means it's connecting to the tablet.
I don't know if you can see this, but once it connects, if you need to check the health of the battery, you click on the robot. It says we have 93%. It does lose a little bit at a time, but 93% is fine. So now we're going to go back to find robot. It has found the robot. It knows where we are. We did have a problem over here because the ground is very wet. But since we have a charged battery now, we're going to take a shot at it and see how it goes. We're going to click start. Oh, it must have lost connection or something. So these things happen quite often. Our speed is 1, so we're good there. Close that out. We're going to click start. Because it was stuck, it wants to obtain a pose, which it did. Now we're going to start painting. There we go. I am hoping that we don't get stuck in that water. If we do, we will adjust this. I suspect it's going to get stuck, but look at us go.
Get it, baby.
So we didn't prime it. However, it's working fairly well. There she goes.
Get it, girl.
We're going to look at the lines. Make sure that it's not clogged. You'll notice that you'll see blank spots or empty spots in the line as it's going, then you know it's clogged. Right now we have great lines. The lines will get brighter as the paint dries, so it may throw you off a little bit that it doesn't look very bright, but as it dries it gets even brighter, so we're good to go. So right now we're going to line this, just so you know. As of right now, after it does the square, it pulls every line and every dash, the no run lines that are here, from this side of the field, which is considered the left side. So it does go back and forth, and it takes time. They're trying to fix that in their programming. Once they do, I'll fix that, and we'll save about 3.5 minutes on these fields, each field. It will be able to do each field in 11 minutes, not 15.
So instead of going back, starting there, keep going, almost as in the S is snake, it has to come back to this line.
Correct. It does not go back and forth painting.
Yeah.
It paints one line, comes back to the left, paints another line, comes back to left.
Yeah, that would be
paints
a good,
another line.
good update.
It is a big frustrating. They have a ticket in from us already. We're just waiting for them to do that update.
After it's done, you push joystick, have it go forward, and driver back near the base station towards the rocks where you're going to clean it.
All right, we're all done with flag football, and we would do the same process at Berwick. We're going to open up the top. We're going to try to get as much paint out as we can. If we were at Berwick, we would do this process, and then we would actually open this up and clean the filter that's in here. We're not at Berwick, we don't have a hose right now. Next time at Berwick, it'll get cleaned properly. However, we have had no problems doing it this way. We're going to take a simple green water. You have the tablet.
Go.
Simple green water. We're going to drop it right in the water.
Spray.
We're going to take the tablet as long as you're connected, which disappeared from me, and you're just going to hit start. It's going to spray out. You can see it over here. Any paint that's in the lines, and we're going to wait until all the paint is out, and then the simple green starts making bubbles, and then it's completely clear. Once it's pretty much clear, you know it's only simple green coming through, you can stop it. It takes about 1.5 minutes. You can stop it. Then you're going to take the wand, put it in a water jug, and for about 1 minute do the same process just to get all that cleared out, all the simple green cleared out. If we were at Berwick to actually clean the robot, we should have spray bottles of straight Simple Green. We spray the robot top bottom all over, use a non-abrasive like dish sponge, and clean all the paint off. We do that every couple weeks. After that's done, you can get this robot completely clean inside and outside. And I haven't done it in a while, sorry. Once it's done, we will spray Armor All on the paint. But right now, we're done with that. We're going to take the wand.
Spray Armor All on the outside.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll spray Armor All on the outside. That makes it easier to clean the next time we clean it. And then simply, the joystick is already open. We're going to hit start again. We're now cleaning out that water.
After the water is done, you push stop, take it out of the water, put it in there, close it up, push stop, then you're just going to use the joystick, roll it back onto the trailer.
At this point, we're done with the tablet for here. We're going to need the tablet again to drive the robot back into the garage. We can now take the base station apart, literally open it up, bring it down. First thing you're going to do not just pull the cord or the battery. You have to reset it from where it is. So you hold the power button until you hear the beeps, and you have to wait until everything goes blank, which takes 30 to 40 seconds as it shuts down. Once it goes blank, as you can see, you can unscrew it, as I'm doing here. Sometimes it is easier to take the antenna off first. Once it's powered down, you can then pull the power cord. There's a trick to pulling the power cord from the actual base station. This is a collar. You have to pull the collar first, and then it'll come out. If you don't pull the collar down, it's not going to come out, and it will break. Once that's done, you can put it off to the side. You can close up the tripod completely. You're going to lock the centerpiece. Pull everything out. Make sure it goes down. If you're here, again, you're going to take the cap. If you have a hammer, I do use my foot. Blow it up, cover it. Now you know where it is. We then go back to the truck.
That's it.
Put everything away. Power cord here. Hold on to the antenna. Be very careful because you don't want to drop this on the ground. You don't want to break the base station. The base station goes in, and the antenna goes right here. We don't want to break any of this or lose any of this. The pole battery goes protect, and we're good to go. I'll show you the breakdown once we get to our complex. We're back. We've pulled the trailer up. We've unloaded everything. All the paint cans go back to the paint cans. You know, pretty simple. The robot we've already cleaned. If we have time, we'd simple green it and clean the outside, the inside right now. Today, we're just going to go and get out of here. We're going to pull the robot forward into its little home. Here, you want to go very slow so you don't screw up the bumper or anything.
Precision.
And then we're done. The next step is, now we're really done with the tablet right now. The next step is we're going to turn the power button off. Then we're going to lift the green lid, and we're going to shut down the breaker. Earlier I showed you how we turn the breaker on. We can wiggle the main battery out, close the top. The pole battery's in the car, but we would just take the pole battery, plug it in, pretty simple. We're going to take the battery that we used and plug it in. As I said earlier,
Unplug.
we're at 100% on this battery, so we're going to unplug, take the battery out, make sure that this battery is facing forward, that we know that's the system, that we know that's charged. We're then going to take number 3 battery. The batteries are labeled 1, 2, 3. We're going to plug the battery into the charger. We're going to make sure that we have the right cord. I'm sorry, I had this organized and then I disorganized it when we got the second charger. Plug that in. You know, quite often I make sure that it reads it. We know that it's pretty low because we used it. Takes a second to read it. We know that it's low. We're good. Once this one's charged, I'll probably look tomorrow. I'll unplug it, put it here, and I'll plug in the 3rd battery that we have.
And then yep.
And then again, the pole battery simply, which holds a lot of power, simply you would just plug in. You do not have to plug and unplug the pole battery. It doesn't have a memory. Same thing. And then pretty much we're done. We just pull the trailer back in. If we were at Duffy, if we were at Berwick, you know, there's no trailer to pull back in. Everything's put away. Whatever paint is left in the buckets, we leave in the buckets. We don't have to combine right now. We don't have to do any of that because next time we use it, we're going to rescreen everything anyway just to make sure that we're good to go. It's a lot easier to rescreen half a bucket than a heavy full bucket. I believe we're done. If you have any questions, you can call Darren Leary. This is Darren and me signing off.